Okay folks, I am changing out the rear brake pads on a 2012 GX460, Lexus GX460. Got about 66,000 miles out of these, and I'm replacing them with Akabono pads. Here's an example of the replacement pad. The old ones had about 2 millimeters left, and I ran them down a little too low. No damage to the rotor, but I should have paid better attention to this. I'll take this off in just a minute. Make sure you wear your safety goggles and of course your safety shoes, and I'll be back with you in a second. Okay, we're back here again. I'm removing the two slide pin or caliper bolts in the back. One is right here. I just broke the bolt loose, and this one here. We're gonna back those out, and what you'll find is this will slide right off, and I'll show you that in just a second. We're back, and I've got those slide pin caliper bolts out, and we're going to remove the caliper here. But what I want you to keep in mind is that's there is a brake line that has brake fluid in there, and you do not want to let this heavy unit hang by that. It's just not going to end well. So I always have something to hang it with. I have in this case, a mangled up coat hanger, and I will hook it up here and let that support the weight of the caliper before I damage anything, and I'll be back with you in just a second. All right, so I got the caliper off, and I'm going to remove the brake pads, the old brake pads now. It's pretty easy to come out generally. And you can see how worn down that is. There's almost no groove left in that. See that little groove that's there? That's almost gone. See that? And you can see on a new one how deep that groove's supposed to be. So certainly more than overdue for brakes. I'll slide both of those out of there, and you'll notice my masterfully beautiful job of hanging the weight of the caliper from the frame. Pretty much textbook. Looks funny, but it actually works, and saves you from doing some damage to your brake line. All right, it's time to slide the new brake pad in, and I'll put the grease on in just a second, but this is going to slide right up. There's my compressor for you. It's going to slide right up in here and clip in place, and I'll be back in a second. We're almost finished here. The final step, we cleaned everything off a lot. I've seen some videos. I'm not a mechanic, by the way. I just have been pretty handy over the years, and I take my time, and I make sure that when I put everything back together, it's as clean as I can get it without going crazy. A lot of people just put stuff back together and dust it off, but I have a little paintbrush there, if you will, and I brush the dust off, and then I spray it with the parts and brake cleaner, clean it off, dry it off, make sure everything looks good, nothing's cracked or dirt's anywhere shouldn't be. And then one of the things I understand people forget to do is re-lubricate this, see if that's a better view there, this slide pin, or the caliper bolt slide pin. But I clean that off, and then I'll put some more lube on that, appropriate lube. There's special grease, if you will, for that, and we can then move forward. I'll be back in a minute. The final thing we're going to need to do here is the caliper piston is extended. You can see this is extended out, I don't know, not quite a half an inch, and that's because the brakes wore down. And so we're going to have to use this tool to push that back, and then once we do that, that will fit back around here. We'll slide that on, and we'll go to the next step. All right, we're almost done here. I got the caliper bolts back in snug with my just my wrench. I checked everything over. I'm not in any rush, just to make sure everything's in good order. And the last step we're going to do here is use a torque wrench to torque those caliber bolts, and they are set to, I'm told by the dealer, 65 foot-pounds of torque. So we'll finish that up, put the torque wrench on there, and put the wheel back on. Then we're going to pump the brakes before we start it up, maybe 5 or 10 times until the pedal becomes firm. And then we'll start it up and see how it works.